Welcome to Let's Clear the Air, a podcast sponsored by the Allergy, Asthma, and Sinus Center, dedicated to educating listeners about allergies, asthma, and immunology.
Welcome back to Let's Clear the Air, all things allergy, asthma, and immunology. I am your host, Liz Edwards, and today I am joined by Dr. Sarah Adams, and we are talking about all things summer heat, humidity, exercise, asthma. It's really, right now when you step outside, you really do feel it. It really makes me stop and take a pause.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tennessee is no stranger to the extreme highs and extreme lows of weather changes, and it can affect everyone, even those who maybe don't even have environmental allergies. Those weather changes can play a big role in triggering a variety of symptoms, especially asthma. But if you also have environmental allergies, Tennessee's a heavy pollen area as well. We are in the thick of it. So you throw a little pollen allergy, you throw some humidity, some extreme weather changes, and it's the perfect combination for challenges in controlling asthma and feeling well in general.
There are a lot of outdoor activities going on right now, and a lot of parents have the kiddos out and about, and I think asthma or asthma symptoms can creep up on people. Can you talk about what those symptoms might be, especially for a child that may not be diagnosed yet?
Yeah, absolutely. So just as you mentioned, asthma symptoms can kind of creep up out of nowhere, or sometimes our children will have symptoms and we may not even attribute them to asthma. So when I talk to parents about asthma, I always tell parents your child should be able to play outside and run around just like their friends, their siblings, without having issues. And if your kiddo's coming to you saying, "Mom, I need to take a break, my chest hurts," or you're watching them run and play and you see that they're coughing a lot, or maybe they're not running and playing and they seem fine, but they're actually not running and playing because they know it makes them feel bad. Those are all reasons to question if something's going on that may be impacting their breathing. Kids are more often going to push through because they want to play, they want to be outside with their friends. And so I think for parents, the things that may kind of prompt you to consider if their play is being impacted by asthma is, as I mentioned, if you notice they're coughing maybe more than their friends, they're not able to keep up, they're having to take more breaks. The other thing I think about that we maybe think about less in summer, but unfortunately it doesn't leave us alone any time of year, are viral illnesses. And so the other thing I tell parents is if you have a kiddo who they get sick, maybe along with brother or sister, and brother and sister have been able to shake that illness, but your other child just continues to have that lingering cough that won't quit, is what I say, then you may want to think about, does your child have asthma as well?
And the treatments are obviously there when we're talking about young children and even, high school athletes right now that are outside practicing. You yourself, you were an athlete, that it can be managed and worked through. What does that look like for a parent of, say, maybe a teenager that's getting really serious about their sport? How would they start to manage those symptoms?
Yeah, definitely. So I am a huge fan of taking a proactive approach for basically all diseases related to allergy, whether it's, allergic rhinitis, asthma, eczema, hives. A proactive approach is always better than a reactive. Now, sometimes we have to be reactive, but if we're doing it right, that proactive approach is really going to help keep that person well. And so from an asthma standpoint, if you already have the diagnosis of asthma, it's important to make sure that you're being followed regularly, because kids, athletes in particular, are pretty good about just kind of adjusting to what they think is normal, when in reality, their running could feel a lot better. They just didn't know that their lungs were tight. And so the nice thing is, particularly for our older kids, we have some objective testing that we can do in our office that really tells us more information about asthma than just reported symptoms. Symptoms are certainly a part of it, but it's oftentimes just a part. And if we can measure a person's lung function in our office, it can give us a really good idea of how well their asthma is being managed. And so using that on top of, as I mentioned, symptom report, getting clarity on how a person feels when they're active and when they're at rest is also really helpful. And then when you think about asthma, I always tell folks, you can't just focus on the lungs. The lungs are a part of the respiratory system. So it's all system, excuse me. So not only do you want to make sure you're treating the lungs, but you want to also make sure you're treating the nose, the sinuses, the throat, making sure we're trying to control all symptoms that could contribute to asthma, because it's all connected. And so if you only treat one part, I say you're only going to achieve partial control. So seeing an allergist can be really helpful, because we can help with asthma, we can help with allergies, we can help with, postnasal drainage, all the things that we have to think about when we're working to control asthma. But initially, we do an evaluation, and then we determine what type of medicine is best to help control asthma. And that can range from using an inhaler as needed to using a daily inhaler. And we also have medicines now that are called biologics, that are more targeted therapies for asthma that can really make a difference in person's quality of life. And that's our goal as allergists, is to make sure patients with asthma have good quality of life and that it's not holding them back.
You have a lot of tools in your toolbox. And so we just want to encourage anyone that is listening, if they suspect they need a full workup, we want you to log onto our website, make an appointment, allergyasc.com. Thank you so much, Dr. Adams, for walking us through that. And we are look forward to a summer of fun activities outside.
Absolutely. Tennessee can be harsh with its weather, but it shouldn't detract from our ability to have fun. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Let's Clear the Air. Please consider following this podcast, and remember, if you want helpful and accurate information about allergies and asthma, our allergy experts are here to clear the air.